Welcome everyone back to this mini series about breathing, talking about awareness and relation in this chapter. And I want to talk about a slightly different aspect when it comes to these breathing exercises, and that is how we can also use them to connect more deeply, more realistically, with more accurate, actual sensory awareness to the body. I've come across this type of practice through Feldenkrais initially, and then once I discovered that principle and explored that in my own body, just continued exploring that whole idea behind that. So what we can do is really focus on our breath and following the pathway of that, and observing really precisely how and where it moves in and out of the body, and targeting. So for example, we could say, let's focus on the right side only, from the right nostril via the trachea to the right bronchi into the right lung, and focusing on breathing only on that side. We can use different types of visualizations or a different focus, a different type of attention. But this was actually one of the very first exercises that how I came to this approach. And we could visualize that with, the bronchi spreading out like the branches of a tree, or maybe filling the lung with, butterflies or flowers, or coloring it in, or generally aiming for that area where it is between the bottom edge of the shoulder blade to the armpit to the collarbone at the front, and feeling the brush of the air at the nostril and along the trachea, the expansion and the retraction, the filling and the emptying out of the lung, taking some attention to the fact that the lung has separate lobes, and we could be trying to even breathe only into the lower lobe or the middle lobe, the upper lobe on the right, or the bottom on the upper on the left. And we'd take that exercise for a good few minutes, really. And we could be doing it lying down. If we're lying down, paying a little bit of attention that we're not going to sleep. Of course, we could also be doing it sitting up in a comfortable position. And once, you've really zoomed in on it. So it's a very quiet practice. And so I would say that maybe to begin with, as simple as that sounds, because ultimately everybody can do it, so it's super accessible. You breathe, that's it. You can lie down, as I said. And it is really quiet. So a whole bunch of people might actually struggle a little bit with the stillness of it, get distracted, or go to sleep, or feel like they really need to move, or, I don't know. But that said, once you're able to really focus in on really that detail, it's like you're letting everything else dissolve around you, and it's got quite a few different impacts on the body, and for sure it's impacting the nervous system. You might really go into a much more natural, innately intelligent breathing rhythm. But what that does, it also connects the brain back up with the part of the body. So we are almost sort of remapping the body back on the brain this way. And it's what you might be able to observe after. So after quite a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes even or longer, doing that breath on only one side, you zoom out again and you observe the whole side of the body where you were breathing. So let's say we were breathing into the right lung, checking in how you're perceiving and sensing the whole right side of the body, and if anything has changed in the perception of that right side of the body. And once we're able to really go in deeply with this one, it's absolutely extraordinary the effect it will have on the tension that might have released on the right side of the body, the kind of literally being able to feel how the whole right side of the body has connected back up again, how I'm having a whole different sensation of it, how I'm perceiving it way more truthfully, how tissues have resolved, how structures feel like they might have reintegrated properly, might literally feel the movement of information of the fluids on that side of the body. And it's really extraordinary, and it's to do with kind of remapping that fully on the brain and reconnecting things up. It's almost like if you imagine one of these old-fashioned switchboards when they were connecting phone calls, and maybe a few of those little wires have got loose, or things are not really going from the right place to the way it wants to go. So it's kind of like all of that just got plugged back in again. All from what I said is really one of the simplest form of doing a breathing practice, caveating that maybe the stillness of it can be quite challenging. And then we'd repeat that obviously on the other side as well, and go to the left lung. And it doesn't matter which side you start. I don't think. It'll be interesting to observe or to explore that. Is there a difference starting on different side of the body, where you be starting on the side that generally might experience more pain, or maybe on the side that experience less pain, and see if there is a difference in the effect it might have. It would be very individual. We all come up with certain ideas as to what might be better, and that is maybe based on actual experience or observed cases, and still it will be different and individual to everyone practicing it. So I would always advocate to try it for yourself. And then you go to the other side, and again start at the nostrils. Maybe that's a place where we have the sense of the brush of the air, which is something we might be able to connect to a little bit more easily. That is still subjective, but a little bit more objective, as the air that does go in is a little bit cooler and drier. The air that does go out is a little bit warmer and moister. That is just fact. So that's something that we could draw some attention to. And then going through the air pipe and then spreading out via the bronchi and going into the lung. On the left side, as I said, with 2 lobes. And maybe focusing on only breathing into the bottom one first and the top one. Maybe people have a perceived real sense of the organ itself. You could target the general area, as I said. You could visualize something more imaginative, like the branches of a tree or something like that. And then again, zooming out and noticing how the whole side of the body feels. So I know I kind of sort of this type of exploration I find so healing in the context of definitely nervous system being all over the place, but also so healing when it comes to managing pain in some form, chronic pain potentially, or the healing of an injury, or the healing even of kind of some health issues. Be really powerful. So sort of that whole exploration, I'm kind of calling somatic breathing in my mind. That sort of makes sense. It's to do with connecting with the body, using the breath in this way. Probably one of my favorite applications of breathing exercises. As ever, if you have any questions or comments, observations, if you've tried this, if you want to try but not so sure how to do it, pop your questions below the video. I'm always very happy to engage and answer them, or send you more information, or I don't know, whatever. you're asking. And if you find any of these videos helpful, feel free to share them, send them on, pass them on. There's a whole, if you're catching this on YouTube, there's a whole playlist with this series now. So you can check out my Hadadi YouTube channel, maybe even subscribe to it if you wanted to. Right now, obviously, this is going up there on a regular basis, but I tend to share something or other most weeks. So there's quite a lot of content there already. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching again, and I'll be back here live on Wednesday. Take care, everyone.